The Bilderberg Group is not the conspiracy. It is a strand in the conspiracy. What we're looking at, dictating our lives and pushing us on into this Orwellian nightmare that they have planned, forget it, is that they have a spider and a web structure. The spider in the center of the web is the inner sanctum that no one ever sees, and they dictate, there's very few of them, they dictate through the spider's web. Now each strand in the web is like a secret society, a corporation, it's an organization of some kind. And immediately around the spider are all the real exclusive ones, some of which don't even have names, because if it doesn't have a name, it's much more difficult to pin it down. And it comes out, and it's still in the hidden. And you come through the upper levels of the Jesuits and Opus Dei, and the real upper levels of the Freemasons and the Knights Templar, all these people, and you're coming out in the hidden. And then there's a point, a cusp, where the hidden comes into the scene. And the Bilderberg Group stands at that point. Before all this work and toil to expose it, it was much more in the hidden. But we pulled it out, and it's at this cusp where it starts from this way out to the edge of the web. It's now starting to dictate and to connect with organizations we know, governments, government departments, corporations, banking systems, and what have you. And its job is to take the spider's diktats and turn them into policy playing out through governments and other organizations represented in there. That's its job. And to understand the world, we need to understand two things. One, where do they want to take us? And two, how do they want to take us there? Or how are they taking us there? If we know those three things, we become immediately streetwise on a level never close to before. And where they want to take us is into a world fascist, communist, same thing, different name, world fascist, communist dictatorship, which would make Orwell wince. And it would be based on an enormous centralization of power. This starts to answer so many things about the world. When you are a tiny few at the core and you want to control the many, you have to centralize decision making. The more diversified it is, the less control any central point is going to have over those decisions. So what we've seen is an incessant centralization of power in all areas of our lives, and after not very long, and quite a way back now, it even got a name: globalization. Globalization is the centralization of power in every area of our lives. There's a man who actually has been given the title, the father of globalization. His name is Peter Sutherland, and he's in there now. Peter Sutherland was the first head of the World Trade Organization, which was designed and set up by the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds to impose massive fines that force countries to open themselves to the merciless world market which they control. That's what globalization's about. We talk about free trade. Free trade? Oh, you must like free trade. It's free. Well, it's not. I'll tell you what free trade is. It's making your products for a few cents on the dollar for people in slum conditions, and then you take them across to the richer countries and you sell them for as much as you get. What free trade is freedom to exploit at both ends of the process. That's what Peter Sutherland has been involved in for decades. Also involved in Goldman Sachs now, stands back in amazement. And so we've had this incessant centralization of power for a simple reason. And it's got faster for this reason. The more you centralize power, the more power you have to centralize quicker. And so the whole thing goes faster and faster and faster. And so, with the European Union, once we crossed the Rubicon of the Lisbon Treaty, they had assembled enough centralized power within the bureaucracy of the EU to push it on faster and faster and faster as they have since. So the idea is the constant centralization of power to this end. They want a world government which would dictate all global policy that meant anything. They would have a world central bank dictating all finance globally. They would have a single electronic currency that would have no cash, for which there are massive implications for freedom. Look at all the stuff now with the technology. You're seeing it. I was writing about this 20 years ago that it was coming. All these smartphones and stuff. Oh, you don't need to go in the bank anymore. Do it online. Oh, do it from your phone. They're creating the cashless society based on a single electronic currency. And the cashless society means this. If you go into a store or a shop now and you hand over electronic money, a credit card, and the system says no, won't accept it, at least for now, though it's going out of fashion so fast, you can pay cash. Once cash is gone, that's the idea, then when that computer says no to your electronic money, your microchip as they ideally want, then it's deciding if you can or cannot purchase. It's about control. That's what it's about. And you see, the euro was never meant to work. Because they want this single currency, they have to do it in steps. It means that they had all those European currencies, the guilder, the lira, the mark and all the rest of them. Now, they had to get rid of them on the road to a single global electronic currency. So in comes the euro, and it wiped them all away. Massive step forward to that goal I've been writing about all these years. Now, all they need to do is destroy the euro and the world currency in general, and they'll say, well, what we have to do is we have to have a world currency to sort out this problem. Alongside the world government and world central bank and single currency, they want a world army to impose the will of the world government. Now, we already have a world government de facto. It goes under names like G8 and G20 and all this stuff, UN Security Council. We also have a de facto world army, and it's called NATO, which imposes the will of these people. Send the boys in. So we're seeing it unfold before our eyes, and still the mainstream media can't see it because it can only see dots and not pictures. And there's two techniques that are necessary to understand. Many people will be aware of these here, but I'll go through them for the mainstream media. Because that's the thing, you see. This is the thing. This is what the mainstream media do not understand in their bewilderment at what's happening, is vast numbers of people are now far more informed about the world than they are. This is the point. The first technique I gave the name to a long time ago now, problem, reaction, solution. Real simple. You want to change the world in a way that if you did it openly, there would be a massive response against it. So you don't do it openly. You first of all create a problem which you blame someone else for. 9/11 and all that stuff, a banking crash, a government crash. You blame it on someone or something else. You then, here we go again, through a unquestioning mainstream media, you pass on your version of that problem to the public, and you're looking at stage 2 for a reaction of fear, of anxiety, of do something, something must be done. And then you, who've covertly created that problem, then offer the solution to the problems you've created. And those solutions are changes in society that advance the agenda towards this structure I'm talking about, that would never have happened without the manipulated problem. There's even a version, Tony Blair's good at these. Tony Blair, yeah. If there's ever a half-truth in a Blair speech, it's the typing error, okay? But it's an add-on to that technique, an offshoot, which I call no-problem reaction solution. This is when you don't need a real problem to justify the solution, you just invent one. Weapons of mass destruction in Iraq.